Maybe you should go and do some contemplating.
Right reason, right reason. Being pretty girl for all the right reasons. Right reason, right reason. Being pretty girl for all 4 seasons.
I'm the Bachelorette, and I'm rapping to you poolside. Here to find true love, one man from my
Hi, this is Rachel McElroy.
Hi, this is Griffin McElroy.
And this is Rose Buddies.
Welcome back to Rose Buddies.
Hello.
Hello from us, the Rose Buddies. Thanks for listening to Rose Buddies. It's another episode of Rose Buddies, and this one is a real supernatural sort of spooktacular.
Oh man! So we're taking this week to the great city of Nolans.
And then every time I talk about Nolans, I love to use my Frank Underwood accent of just being like Claire.
Is he? He's not from Louisiana in the show,
he's
though,
from
right?
South Carolina, but it's all really the same state. It's just one sort of big old state, and we're in the super state. Although, is it that super? I mean, Texas, right? It's all the south part of America is all basically just one big old state. And boy, they got some thoughts about some things, huh? They got a particular way of doing it.
Incisive, Griffin.
I'm just saying, it's one big state, and everybody here has a particular way of doing their stuff.
We need to get you on Meet the Press. You are going to
saying they don't want to change their minds about some of the things, even though these things that they think
bring in some real hot commentary.
Some of it's a little bit rough stuff. We're going to New Orleans though, but there's stuff before New Orleans. You just wanted to jump right into that.
Oh, you're right.
Good spot.
You're right.
I just wanted to comment on, like, I don't think there's been an episode of this show that has been where quite so many like factors were decided by otherworldly supernatural forces. There hasn't been an episode where, I don't know, one of the women is possessed by a demon, and then the demon helps her win the show. You know what I mean? There's not one where aliens come down. They go to Roswell, and the aliens come down, and I think maybe they kiss and fall in love with the aliens. I didn't see Roswell.
I didn't either.
Sorry, Bristol. Or from Bristol's definitely listening to this is definitely very disappointed in Rachel and I right now.
Should we talk about the show?
Well, I mean, we usually have a lot of fun banter. You just want to fucking... You just want to use me up. And then, is that all I am to you? Is just a fucking, like... just sounding board? Just a podcast, like... co-host, and that's it. And then once you're done, as soon as we walk out of the studio, it's just like, that's it.
To be clear, your hot intro included talk about aliens and how the South was a little backwards.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
I'm not gonna hop on either of those. Thank you.
Well, if you had hopped on them, maybe they would have been good. They were bad they were bad bits. But it's because I needed you. You're my whetstone that I sharpen my incisive Southern comedy against.
With an H, perverts.
Yeah, no, see, that's the good stuff that you could have brought to the...
I love my spelling goofs.
Should we talk about the rod thing? Or because it's a dark cloud looming over the horizon, and I think we should just touch on it real quick. And that Rod announced... Well,
and it's not confirmed.
It's not confirmed, but Rod announced today that he's going to be on Bachelor in Paradise.
For our new listeners, Rod is our name for a contestant that was particularly disgusting.
Yeah, he sucks. Not in a way that like other people suck. And by the way, I've seen so many people on Facebook talk about how Corinne and Chad... Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Gotta fucking...
Donate to Safe Place.
It's a safe place, okay. How Corinne and Rod are the same person, and it's like, no, dog. Because the thing about Rod is like... his like shittiness goes so far beyond the confines of the show. It is like staggering. Like he's
a really aggressive, manipulative,
abusive
contestant.
Dude. And it's not just like he was a bad dude on the show. Like there's a woman named oh shoot, I cannot remember her name, but she writes for the Huffington Post.
Yeah.
And she always writes about The Bachelor and Bachelorette, and was like really critical of them having this dude on the show. And he tweeted her address, like doxed her. Yeah, like he sucks. Like he sucks in a major way. And got kicked off of Bachelor in Paradise last season after a single episode because he was like super duper abusive to the people there, and also apparently to the hotel staff. And Chris Harrison had to like ask him to leave, which was a godsend because then it was like a really fun season after that. And Bachelor in Paradise is such a fucking refreshing spring breeze. And if this dude is back on it, man, like
So all of that to say that he was on last season. We almost didn't watch because of it. And
this show is bad a lot of the time, but it's bad in the way that like a fun bad movie is bad. shit, like, and there's some stuff that happens in this episode that also like leans into this tendency where it's like, this isn't even fucking fun anymore, dudes. Here's the thing, ABC is so fucking like delusional that you tweet at them like, I can't believe you're gonna have this dude on. They're like, this guy's building a lot of heat.
I know.
No, it's not that. Like, it sucks. Like, it's not fun to. It's seriously not fun to watch it. And the only reason people are watching the show is because it's fun sometimes, most of the time.
Yeah. Well, obviously it's really early, and so the cast hasn't been confirmed yet, so we don't know for sure.
But everybody's like. I honestly, I think this is only happening. Well, it's only happening because fucking Rod is talking about it.
Yeah.
But it's only happening because Corinne is such a thing now, and now it's like, what if Corinne and Rod hook up? And it's like,
so this week's episode
was fun at times. It was not fun at times, but it was fun a lot of the time.
And brought to you by the major motion picture Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast. So this, I didn't know this, apparently based on a Disney. And that's the right way to say it. A Disney film from the 90s. And it's about, I guess, just a bookish girl. And she hooks up with like a big bear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then there's
and a teacup sings to them while they make love.
And there's a Gaston fella.
There's a Gaston fella, and he's there, and he is going to kill the bear to save her. And he does at the end.
And then there's a flower involved somehow. Some kind of rose.
Involved somehow.
Some kind of rose.
Confusing. There's like another supernatural. Once these things start incorporating supernatural elements, it's like, you're losing me.
Well, and you know what I took from tonight is that the voice of the rose is Josh Gad.
Yes, the rose is a living character. His name is Roseanne. And in the cartoon, I guess, the Disney cartoon, it was played by Roseanne, Mrs. Roseanne from Roseanne. She doesn't have a last name. She just has the one single name. But this time they've replaced Roseanne with Josh Gad.
Yeah.
In the Disney, the Disney.
Do you want to do, like, we got to see a little sneak peek. Do you want to do some of his lines as the rose?
Yeah, sure. Smell my petals. They smell amazing. And then
perfect.
he has that one where the bookish girl goes to pick him up and he's like, be careful of my thorns.
Yeah. Belly, I think her name
Belly is what it is. Yeah, so we're gonna have a lot of fun in the theater with that, with our little tyke. We're gonna take him to see the new film.
Yeah, we're gonna take him somewhere to see a 2-hour movie.
Andy Serkis is the bear man. It's called Belly and the Bear Man.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's fun. But again, it gets that supernatural element. This the episode of the TV show, they had a bunch of ghosts and spooky stuff in it, and like ghosts started to do things, and we're going to get to it, but ghosts started to do things to torment these women. And at this point, I was like, I can't enjoy this show anymore because I've just learned that ghosts exist. So once the supernatural comes into play, it's like, I don't.
Okay. Should we get there?
I guess.
We
just have to get through so much shit before the episode gets good because it sucked at the beginning.
We've really been going for a while now and haven't even.
I guess we have. All right.
Even gotten to it.
This is 8 minutes. This is nothing. This is a baby's divergence.
So before we get to New Orleans,
we can say that, by the way, because we've been there like a bunch of times. New Orleans is the best. Like, New Orleans is the best city, man.
It's one of the best road trips from Austin.
Yeah, and it's also like one of the best fucking places in America, hands down.
So this episode picks up with the cliffhanger from last week, which was
nothing. It wasn't anything.
Corin and Taylor's dispute. 3
different times today while Rachel and I, and we stayed home from our group watch because our son just hasn't learned how to sleep yet, so he hasn't slept even for a second. We've and we haven't either. We've been awake for 2 months. And we're very excited about some of the like sort of psychological changes that's sort of introducing into our life and our relationship. And so we didn't go, and we stayed home, and like several times Rachel and I were just sitting next to each other on the couch, and Rachel would just like sigh dejectedly and just be like, do I even have to take notes during this part? And it was all Corin Taylor.
Yeah. So we find out a lot about Taylor through Corin. We haven't really seen much of her.
That's what's so...
But apparently she's rude, and all the other women think that she is unlikable.
Corin did some rotten stuff this episode, but credit where credit's due. She does some judo on Taylor in this like confrontation that was the cliffhanger of last week, where Taylor was like, you're too immature, you don't have the emotional intelligence, your emotional intelligence is weak, and your emotional intelligence is bad. And in this episode, Corinne is like, well, I think you should know that all of the women in the house think you're very rude because you don't say hi to them, and everybody just thinks you're not here for the right reasons. And Taylor's like, wait, I don't think anybody's saying that, but here's why I am the way I am. And like, just like that, the conversation had like been completely flipped on its ear.
This is a real classic bully move, is that if somebody attacks you, you make them feel as if everyone harbors a secret kind of ill will towards them, and you're going to let them in on it, and then all of a sudden they're on the defensive.
You said that about it being a bully move, but like I mentioned this during last week when Taylor brought up your emotional intelligence. You don't have enough emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And then Corinne was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And Taylor was like,
because they're both, by the way, they're both
23 fucking years old, which like, if you're 23, that's fine. But
so
like,
Taylor
you can't hate on each other for being anyway, not that all 23-year-olds are cut from the same cloth, but my point was like, Taylor was obviously just trying to fucking pull this elite.
She was fishing
card.
Basically.
No, not just that. She was like saying like, oh, you don't know what emotional intelligence was, and using this to try to belittle Corinne. And it got to, guys, I'm not kidding, like 14, 15 times during this episode, including to Nick. Like, I told her emotional intelligence was like insufficient, and she had to ask me what it was. And it's like, Taylor, that sucks, dog.
We heard emotional intelligence more than we heard right reasons this week, which is unprecedented.
It was really, it was super, super rough. Like, neither of them, both of them, this was the Corinne versus Taylor episode, spoilers. And I'm sorry, just both of them stink. Both of them stink, man. I have no patience for either of the shit.
In different ways.
Yeah.
In different ways.
In different ways. But the whole thing also stinks because straight up, we haven't seen Taylor with him for more than like 30 connected seconds. And like, obviously this was not a thing, and she was only sort of put up there to be a sparring partner with Corn.
Yeah,
and yet they still want us to like buy into this fucking battle. And it's like, there's no, by the way, my hat is sitting next to me, uncooked, uneaten. Thank you very much.
ABC tried to bill this as like villain versus villain, and I was like, wait a minute.
Not.
Yeah.
Like Taylor's kind of a butt, but like that's not what this is. You didn't set this up. Why are you so bad at setting things up? You've been doing this for 30 years.
Well, I'm sure the footage they have of Taylor being a quote villain is pretty boring, because if it really is true,
it's just her not talking to people.
It's just her walking into a room and being like, hey.
So anyway, they have a fight and nothing happens, but then every single woman in the house has to do a behind the scenes thing about how there's a confrontation. Oh, there's too much drama in the house, and there's this confrontation between Corn and like all of it was the most prompted thing ever, because they kept using the word confrontation over and over and over and over and over again.
So Chris comes in to talk to Nick in his little pep talk before the rose ceremony.
I hadn't really thought of this. This pep talk is becoming a regular. I think it's been in every episode.
Yeah.
And we've given this show some shit for not using Chris Harrison very well, and it's still like a very, very short thing. But like, has that been in past seasons where he actually does this pep talk with the? I don't think so. Not this consistently, at least.
No, usually he comes in to end the cocktail party,
and that's it, and he bounces.
But we don't see a lot of interaction with the Bachelor.
We used to see it a lot, and we've lamented like how it's been gone, and now we're getting a little slice of it.
This feels more like Chris trying to get Nick to say things that they want to get him to say on camera.
Well, yeah, obviously, because he always says like the thing that just happened 45 seconds ago in the episode. So I heard there was a fight tonight. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So at the rose ceremony, Astrid and Sarah go home.
Astrid, I don't know. She's from Huntington. And Sarah, I don't remember.
She's an elementary school teacher.
Yeah, she was nice. I thought she was going to make it a little bit further.
She gives a really nice outshot when she's leaving.
Yeah, she drops some truth.
She just says like, hey, I was actually really here to find love, and I guess I just got outshadowed by the drama. Yep. And I was like, that's true.
That's actually exactly what happened, Sarah.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to New Orleans.
And this was the first, like, I guess they've probably been to cities that we've been to before, right? Like, I mean, the show takes place in LA. I've been to LA a bunch for E3, although specifically around the convention center. But they've gone to cities that like I've been to before, but this was the first time where like every fucking place they went, I was like, oh, yeah.
Because everyone that goes to New Orleans goes to the French Quarter.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, so, and that's where they went because it's like a really cool spot.
Yeah, it's the best.
So they go. Jamie's really excited because she currently lives in New Orleans and is a chef.
Jamie, who tweeted that she listened to the show and confirmed,
she didn't know. She only listened because her friend's mom.
Oh, right. Well, hey, I'll take it where I can get it. But yeah, she mentioned on Twitter that there was way more to the conversation of her talking about how she had a girlfriend once that did not make it to air, which was our suspicion. But thank you, Jamie, for confirming it. I hope you enjoy the program. Also got a tweet this week from Ben the Axeman Higgins because somebody changed one of y'all motherfuckers changed his Wikipedia page to say his name was Benjamin the Axeman Higgins, and somebody tweeted that at him, and he was like, "I don't know what this is. It sounds ominous." And Rachel and I had to step in and be like, "No, dude, it is a badge of honor of the highest acclaim." He
did not respond to us.
Didn't respond to us, but that's fine. We said mean things about his freeform show. I said mean things in private.
So all the women are out on the street dancing around with street performers.
I love the flight montages that they do. It is so like Disney Channel, like high speed montages of them like running down an airplane aisle. It's so fun. Just like things they show on their phone of them sitting next to each other on an airplane next to an open window, just like New Orleans. I love it. It seems like they're having a lot of fun. Listen, I just want to see the women hanging out and having fun. I know
you do.
And this is the only time that they show me this.
I know you do.
The ghost date was so good because there was a lot of just women hanging out and getting spooked and haunted.
So they go to the hotel, and Chris shows up and announces there will be 3 dates this week.
Fucking like 3 buttons unbuttoned on his shirt.
Yeah,
shirt
Griffin got really annoyed that his shirt was untucked.
I'm just telling you, dude. I'm not annoyed.
You want him in like a 3-piece suit?
No, I don't want him in a 3. He doesn't have to have a cummerbund. It's just like he's still on island time. Actually, you know what? I'll give it a pass for this week because he's in New Orleans. It's probably a little humid there, and you want a little bit more of a casual.
You guys should know that when we record, Griffin is always wearing a cummerbund.
Yeah, I'm wearing a cummerbund, but not where you'd expect it. Cummerbund's probably the nastiest word, right? Like, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Dickie is pretty nasty.
If you're wearing a cummerbund and a dickie, you should go to jail. You should be thrown in jail for indecent exposure.
Well, yeah, if you're just wearing
that, you actually will go to jail for indecent exposure.
So there's a one-on-one date, there's a group date, and then there's the 2-on-1 date.
I want to hear that's going to be with, hey, straight up. This is another pro tip because I'm hoping one of our listeners is on this show at some point. There's probably a lot of eligible Bachelor and Bachelorette listeners that would thrive in this environment because now they know how to fucking play. If you pick a fight with somebody and then the next week there's a 2-on-1 date, you're gonna go on the 2-on-1 date.
You're on that 2-on-1.
That's gonna be you because Korn was like, I hope it's not me. What are you Vanessa and Danielle M. You're gonna fight this. It's crazy, but you're the fighters. No. It's gonna be Rachel and it's gonna be Vanessa. I'm as surprised as any.
And I'm going to keep both of them, making this 2-on-1 pointless.
I mean, it's already fucking pointless.
So Rachel gets the 1-on-1 this week with the card that says, "Where have you been, yay, all my life?"
I guess like it's been long enough. What is this? Episode 4? Episode 5? Episode 5.
I have no idea.
This is the 5th episode. I'm pretty sure. I forgot Rachel got the first impression rose because she's kind of not been around that much since then. She got a group date rose. But we haven't seen like a lot of Rachel Nick time. Yeah,
we forgot about their chemistry.
It's fucking awesome. I know I was a big Vanessa Nick fan. I was a big Vanick fan. That's what we call the pairing on our communities. No, that's done. Nick, Rachel to the max. Like, guys, I'm jeffing hard for this one.
Yes. Griffin at one point said that he hoped that ABC wasn't going to quote Jeff him.
Oh, they're going to Jeff me hard. They're going to Jeff me really, really hard. But Jeffing is like a verb that can be used both ways. One where it's you really kind of like the on-screen romance of two people on a reality show. But then getting Jeffed means that they break up and it breaks your heart into a million pieces. And, like, I love you very much, but it's probably only like 95% as much as I could love anybody before I got Jeffed by The Bachelor.
Yeah.
Bachelorette, sorry.
Yeah.
I know that's hard to hear, but you gotta know, like, I'm playing,
No,
I'm
that's
always going to
fair.
be playing at a handicap.
That's fair. I have never put two F's together again.
No,
since
I
then.
can't. I see somebody with two F's in their name, and I'm like, what are you fucking show off? Do you want me to say your name longer? That's what's Jeff is so great about Jeff. He's so humble. You get in, you get out. Jeff. Nope, that's
He was
too long.
actually
Jeff,
born with two F's, and he was like, hey, I don't want to waste
drop that
anyone's
extra
time.
F. Give it to somebody else.
He actually donated that F.
My name is David. Jeff gave me his F, and it's great. David? David? No. David.
Can I talk about their date?
Yeah, sure.
So
I'm Fnick.
when you put it at the front,
Yeah. I'm proud of my F. My friend Jeff gave it to me. I'm proud of it. It goes at the front of my name. I'm Fnick, and I'm the Bachelor.
so they go, Rachel and Nick. I'm flustered now. Rachel and Nick go to
You
the
want to say Fnick. It sounds so fucking natural, doesn't it? I loved the lineup that Nickelodeon had on Fnick.
I knew
when it
you
would
were
go
going to do
into
that. I
all
knew you were
that,
going to do that.
and then straight into Keenan and Kel, and then Roundhouse. None of those shows were on at the same time. All that and Keenan and Kel might have been.
I
Kablam.
know I had Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yes. Can you name one more?
I think Roundhouse is right.
No, I know.
Oh, you want me to name
Yeah.
another Nickelodeon or another Fnick show?
Yeah. If you can name one more Fnick show, I'll be so psyched.
Was Pete and Pete ever on there?
I don't know. Actually.
You just want to sit here in silence?
I don't see. I'm trying to think if I can think of any.
I don't.
Secret World of Alex Mack.
Oh,
Hey
yeah.
Arnold.
Yeah. I don't know about Hey Arnold.
Hey
But
Arnold
I think,
was Ham Ham
I think-
Kablamswa. That was a little. I can't believe that I can fucking remember that. It was an acronym that they came up with for how to remember the schedule for Snick, and it was Ham Ham Kablamswa,
Griffin.
and it was Hey Arnold. Something that starts with M. What would that be? Alex Mack? Was there an M show? I don't know. I'm fucked up in the brain, dude, that I can remember that. It
Wow.
bums me out.
Wow.
Yeah. The SWA at the end was Secret World of Alex Mack. I don't know what the M was for. I'll think of it later, and I'll just shout it out in the middle of the podcast.
Or in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Okay. Rachel and Nick go to the French Market in New Orleans, which is like a little outdoor area with like food and shops. It's fun to walk through. They look at masks. Nick, in a wacky fit, holds a gator head up to his face as if he is a gator.
I thought it would have been great if Rachel had like a full blown fucking Captain Hook freak out at the end.
They get oysters, they sample hot sauce, and then right next to the French Market is Café du Monde, where they go for beignets. And it is fun to watch Nick shove a beignet in his tiny marble mouth, and get that sugar everywhere.
He really gets the nasty with the sugar. And it's hard to do, right? That's why I dunk it in that good chicory coffee. I dunk it right in that sweet coffee, and then it soaks up some of the sugar. That's my pro tip for eating a good beignet. Because I don't want to be a dusty boy. I don't want people to think I'm a user.
It's impossible not to be a dusty boy in that location.
I guess so, yeah. It's kind of covered in... It's kind of... There's sort of drifts of snow.
Yes. And so then they end up going out to walk around some more, and they run into a second line, which is kind of a parade of musical performers, and they pick up some umbrellas, and they dance around in the parade, and it's a really neat moment.
Well, we've been a few times, and like we've seen those a lot. This
Yeah.
is Rachel actually said this is one of the first things that like happen in public on this show that may have not been set up. I think it was probably set up, but it could have ostensibly not been set up. Second line? Is that what it was?
That's what they said. Yeah, I never knew what it was called.
Me neither.
But it's popular for like weddings and funerals.
Yeah. Rachel and I went to a wedding.
We went to a wedding in
for
New
our friends
Orleans.
in New Orleans, and they had a second line like during their wedding and it took place in a fucking wax museum. It was the best all-time wedding locale
I don't think
ever.
the wax museum's
it's gone.
open
It's shut
anymore,
down,
which is really
very
sad. Yeah, but they used to have an event space above the museum, and so you could have your cocktail hour in the museum while they set up for the reception, which was incredible. So they have some fun dancing around, and it's right in front of the hotel, of course, so all the women can look out the window and see them having fun, which is a nice theme of this show. And then they go into a bar where an artist named Lolo is playing, who I compared to a Joss Stone.
A Joss Stone-esque figure.
She's a woman singer-songwriter, and they dance.
Thank you. Thanks. I didn't know you knew so much about Joss Stone. It's hard for me to. I haven't met another Joss head before, like in public, and to be married to one is so exciting. She's a woman singer songwriter.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I mean, I could go on and on.
Yeah, sure. Tell me one of her songs other than her cover of "I Fell in Love with a Boy."
I couldn't have even told you that one. No, I could have. Now that you mention it, it sounds familiar.
Sure.
Real Joss head.
Starting to think you're not much of a Joss head after all.
Real Jossicle over here.
Real so-and-so.
So they hang out there and they watch, and we get to see Nick kind of looking adoringly at Rachel. And Rachel tells us that it's been over a year and a half since she's been on a date where she's really excited about the person, and we can tell that she's super excited, and it's really cute to watch them.
Yeah, I don't know what to say except like their chemistry is really off the charts, and not just like they're like smooching all the time, but they are, and in public, and
it's not just like physical.
It's not just physical though. Like they're having like really great conversations. She talks about how she saw a second line. She's been in New Orleans a couple times that year and saw a second line at a funeral that she went to.
Yeah.
To which Nick like reflexively says, "I'm sorry," and she says, "Thank you," which is like kind of a weird. It was like a weird back and forth, but like I don't know. Their conversation was like really sweet.
Yeah, they both seem really comfortable.
Yeah.
And so the night portion is them going to this big warehouse with Mardi Gras floats, and they have a little dinner there. And they both talk about how great their day was together. And then there's this moment, which is really early for it to be happening, but they start talking about hometowns, basically. He starts talking about, they both start talking about how long their parents have been together, and, her parents and his parents have both been together over 30 years. And he asks about her family, and she says, well, my dad is a federal judge in Dallas. And he says, do I have to call him sir? Like,
no.
When I meet him...
You call him Your Honor. What are you talking about?
Like, is he really tough? Like, I would definitely call him sir. And she's like, yeah, no, don't call him Sam. And I just thought, like, wow, all right.
He's already getting the strategies.
Here we go. Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of people left for him to be having that, like, I'm going to meet your parents.
I mean, I'm sure it also came out of, like, what do you call a federal judge? What do you call, is there a correct, I think he may have been fishing to see if he was supposed to say Your Honor. That's not a joke. Like, if I found out, like, you, like, your dad was, like, Secretary of State or something like that, do I call him David? Or do I call him Secretary of State?
If you
Weiner?
found out, like he was in the CIA and I just couldn't tell you the whole time we were together.
Yes, he was the CIA Secretary of State, the secret secretary.
Like, oh, hey, by the way, Griffin, I know we've been together 5 years now.
No, I'm just saying, what if I was very rude and I hadn't asked about your parents ever? Like, your dad was, like, at our wedding, but I never inquired what he did. And you're like, he's the fucking Secretary of State.
How have you not seen him on the news?
I don't really watch the news. I'm, not very active in that whole world.
Who is this character?
This is Mr. Cool, Too Cool to Be Political.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a really cool guy. I think you'd love him.
And so Nick says, I might be breaking the rules, but I'm super into you. And like, I believe it. I'm totally bought in, man. I am jeffed up. I'm
all jeffed up. This show's got me jeffed to the max. I'm tweaking.
And then he kind of weirdly presents her the rose.
He does it in like, guys, go back and watch it. It's like a snail pace, like, he grabs it off the table and very slowly like extends it way too close to her. Like his approach is pretty weird.
And he gives her this kind of speech where he talks about the things he likes about her, and one of the things he says is, you walk into a room and you own that room.
I love the way that it takes you 30 minutes to order a sandwich, and then he does the whole thing. Is that what he says in the movie? In the Harry Sally? You just watched it.
In the Harry Sally? Is that what you call it?
The Harry Sally movie.
Yeah, he gives a list of things, and that's one of the things he says.
Hey, I'm just now thinking about this. Recently, I walked in to, I think I was like working, and I walked in the living room, and you're hanging out with Henry, and you're watching When Harry Met Sally. And a few days later, I walked in, and you were watching City Slickers 2, Legend of Curly's Gold.
Crystal.
I guess you're on a crystal kick, huh?
Uh-huh.
You're on that crystal. Just riding that crystal. He went to Marshall, baseball scholarship.
I do know that.
Very proud to have him.
I know. He stayed for a year?
Like a year, but it was a good year. Mm-hmm. Good year for baseball. We did great that year.
Yeah? What was the record that year?
Oh, man. 50.
Yeah? 50 and...
12.
Oh, that's a good year.
50-12 was the final score.
It's a baseball game.
What can I say? He hit fucking 50 home runs.
Oh, so it wasn't even like runs batted in.
Nobody else could even get on plate. On plate?
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
He designated hitted for a lot of dudes, so he got 50 home runs. Mm-hmm. So that's how he did it. That's how he accomplished it. Most runs scored and most home runs hit in a single game by a huge margin goes to
Billy Crystal,
famed Oscars host Billy Crystal. Because that's definitely not his real name, right? Billy Crystal is definitely not his real name. Do you think that there was a moment where he decided to be an actor and he got cast in whatever first movie he got cast in that he was going to like go big, and he's like, I need a way better acting name, and he held out in front of them 2 index cards, and he had to deliberate, and then written on one was Billy Crystal, and written on the other one was Crystal Billy. He's just sitting in his apartment for like 2 hours. Like, they both have so many strengths.
Crystal Billy. Oh. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
It's not even a funny joke. It's just like fun to think about. Like sometimes it's fun to give your mind little brain teasers like this.
Before we talk about the group date, do you want to do our Jumbotrons?
Oh, no, I don't have them up yet.
I was trying to think of a fun corner we could call this based on the show. We got some suggestions in the Facebook group, and I can't remember what they were now at this point. But if you'd like to purchase a Jumbotron, it's a special message that we'll read on the air. You can dedicate it to a friend or lover.
Just those are the only 2. Don't give it to a fucking family worker, or a coworker, or a family member. Because we'll find out.
If you go to the MaximumFun.org, you can figure out how to do this. And we have 2 this week.
Yeah. So I don't know what the music... We need like a music break in here. And I don't know what it is going to be, because I don't want to use that same garbage Dez featuring Soulja Boy. Can
we use the Room song again, the You Are My Rose?
Shit, that could be good. Or we could just do like a I think why?
How does that relate? How does that relate at all?
As the baby? You're worried about the baby?
Yeah, I don't
I'll do it a choir one. I'll do a quieter.
I don't want you singing the Seinfeld theme to be what wakes our baby up.
I'll do some... I thought of something much quieter. Our first Jumbotron is...
Wait, what are we going to call this little spot? I want to call this like a thing.
We're going to call it the speedboat we're going to buy.
Like the Rose Bush or something.
No, we're going to call it the fucking money boat.
Or the cocktail party.
The cocktail party is actually good.
Okay.
It could be fun. Let's think about it. Today we're going to call it investment money, seed money for Griffin's boat.
Okay.
This message is for Bon and April, and it's from Sam. The very first speedboat session. Congratulations, you've done it. Sam says to Bon and April, to my rosy buddies in the Big Apple, I miss you. I hope the sound of your favorite podcast hosts keep you warm in your cozy apartment and that you come visit down in Charm City soon. Smooches, XOXO, your Guccio. See, this is one thing that you need. Guccio. Yeah, that's one thing about the Jumbotrons is they make you say words like Guccio sometimes, and it's fun to say them, but people take it and they make a soundboard out of it.
Well, I mean, that's a reference to Ben's season. Or was it JoJo's season? It was JoJo's season. When did they touch all
those horses inappropriately?
I think it was JoJo's.
It might have been JoJo's season.
It was definitely guys. Was it Alex that went on that date?
You remember a lot more about JoJo's season.
It was when the men lay with horses.
Not in that way, but kind of in that way.
Kind of, yeah.
What do you think the Charm City is?
I don't know. That must be like the nickname for a location. I just don't know what it is.
Probably
Santa Fe.
Santa Fe. Do you want to read this Jumbotron?
Sure. This is for Cattywampus from Tyler. You've been my best friend for more than 10 years, but I'm still excited every single day to see you. I can't wait to see what the next decades bring. Love you.
That's really sweet.
Isn't that nice?
I think we're gonna have more like love messages.
Yeah, that's what I want, man.
This show's a celebration of the stuff we call love.
Yes, exactly.
This material, this sort of floating miasma between the two of us. There's a lot of that miasma in this room right now. That's why I'm sweating so much.
Yeah, this room is thick with miasma.
It's thick with our miasma that we create with our love and our lust.
Ooh, that's gross.
Group
date.
It's gonna be good. We do that every time. Are you kidding me? And you're gonna get into it, and you're gonna get so good at it. And people will be like, "Rachel's Tim Allen breakdown is getting like better than the real thing." And then during a live show, we can have the tool man himself, Tim Taylor, to come out and do it himself.
Do you think it was him singing? Well, I guess he does the last part, doesn't he?
Yeah, babe. And he's definitely playing the guitar.
Do you think Tim Allen just sat in the studio for days, just making grunts, like, for 6 hours?
Oh, yeah.
A day?
He came up with, there were some rough drafts there, just like,
Could you go a little higher this time?
Yeah. We need more power. No.
Go a little lower.
Can you go lower?
You're a little sharp.
God.
Come in this time, not so sharp.
No, Tim, nothing like that. Nothing like that. You're moving away. It's not even a grunt anymore. That was a laugh, Tim.
Sometimes he just went like, cha-ching, and they're like, no, that's not your thing.
Stop it, Timothy Allen.
I think my character can go a different way. This time,
it's funny.
This time I'm a cashier and I'm not a tool man, and so I go cha-ching.
Tim the Cashier Taylor. That's my good thing. On Money Time.
I'm Allegra Ringo.
And I'm Renee Colbert, and we host a podcast called Can I Pet Your Dog?
Renee, can I tell you about a dog I met this week?
I wish that you would. In turn, though, can I tell you about a dog hero?
May I tell you about a dog breed in a segment I like to call Mutt Minute?
I would love that. Could we maybe talk about some dog tech?
Could we have some cool guests on, like Lin-Manuel Miranda, Nicole Byer, and Ann Wheaton?
I mean, yeah, absolutely.
I'm in.
You're on board? What do you say we do all of this and put it into a podcast?
Yeah, okay.
You think? All right. Should we call it, like, I don't know, Can I Pet Your Dog?
Sure.
All right. What do you say we put it on every Tuesday on Maximum Fun?
Or on iTunes. Sounds good to me.
Meeting's over.
I really want to talk about the show some more.
Yeah, I can't believe how long we've, like, our baby's not going to sleep much longer.
Yeah,
this
we're
is
just getting
hubris
greedy.
that we're taking this much time to do this.
We're just getting greedy. Okay, group date. On the group date.
Well, we're buying ourselves some time because we are not going to talk about the 2-on-1 very much at all because it sucked.
On the group date, Josephine, Christina, Alexis, Raven, Jamie, Vanessa.
Melissa.
Both
Melissa.
Danielles.
All the Melissas. Krayshawn.
Both Danielles,
Abernathy,
Whitney, and Jasmine.
Lawrence,
I love
Louisa.
it. I love it when you do this.
I do too, because the women's names don't mean anything to most of the folks. Everybody except Corinne and Taylor, of course.
And so since all those women are on the group date, that does confirm that Corinne and Taylor will be on the 2-on-1. So the group date they go to the hummus house.
Nope.
Hummus house.
Hummus house, I think.
I said hummus is kind of like my fun little like I'm Griffin and I mispronounce things because
That
it's
is
funny.
fun.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot, right?
No.
Some of that miasma just wafted out the door. They meet a man named Boo.
Yes. This house is like a big Southern style home. 1828 is when it was built. And it's supposed to be the most haunted home in Louisiana.
This episode had the man named Boo, who
is the proprietor
of the spooky
and
house.
bartender.
There is a man who jumps on a boat in a way that made me laugh so hard I thought I was going to die. And then there is a woman who does a tarot reading with the best nails I've ever seen. And I just want to give this episode props for just the best, for lack of a better term, NPCs. The best non-player characters that we've seen maybe in a single episode before. USA, we've got character.
So the whole thing is they're going to go into this spooky house and witness spooky things. Boo tells us right away that, you might hear something. There's an 8-year-old girl named May that haunts the house. She died here of yellow fever.
How's your date? Kid died. Enjoy your date. You gonna kiss? Oh, that's where the kid, you're gonna kiss there? The kid died there.
So Boo takes them on this tour and the house is maintained to look appropriate for the time period in which May lived there.
Right.
And so you go to May's room and you see all of May's things.
Jasmine G is taking on this like, I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in spooky specters.
She's a real
like
Scully.
That. So she's like touching spooky hats and like putting them on and doing all this stuff.
She's a real Dana Scully.
I'm sounding jaded here. Like everything about this date was fucking super fun. But yeah,
Jasmine is like, I'm not having any of this.
Raven says, if I see any ghosts in there, I'm going to rebuke them in the name of Jesus Christ. And I was like, Raven, that I would watch the shit out of that show. Raven is Constantine.
So Jamie says like, hey guys, I know we're having a lot of fun here, but like, let's not make fun of it. Let's really get into it. And then she tells us, I don't believe in ghosts, but I respect them.
Oh, Jamie, that's good, dude. That's so
nice.
good, Jamie.
It's nice. And then they get out a Ouija board. And
the most amazing thing happens where the first things they ask the Ouija board are, who's going to get the rose on this date? And holy shit, it went to D. And Danielle did get the rose.
Oh.
Weird. But then it said, is Nick going to propose to anybody soon? And the thing didn't move. And it's worth noting that Nick definitely had his finger on the planchette. So that motherfucker was like giving that shit the submission hold, putting it down on the ground. It feels like it's moving towards yes. Does it feel like it's moving towards yes?
And so they ask the Ouija board if May is present in the room with them, and then the lights go out, and then the ABC producers have done us a favor of adding in some lightning outside the house.
Yeah. Some real, I just learned After Effects today on a YouTube tutorial.
So it's nighttime, and they are going to go exploring the house, which is not something I'm imagining the public gets an opportunity to do.
Yeah, I'm guessing they definitely do if you pay enough money. This house has a lot of rigging happening inside of it.
True.
You can definitely take your fucking corporate retreat.
See, I just thought maybe ABC went in there and said, hey, can we make your chandelier fall?
No, babe. This is the thing that we could go to next time we go to New Orleans if we wanted to get spookified. But now we've seen all the spooks, so it wouldn't work so well. They break off into small groups. And
they walk around with like lit candles.
There's these statues that are covered that they say not to, Boo says not to uncover. By the way, Boo is on you remember that episode of The Office where they get a Benjamin Franklin stripper, but he's not a stripper, he's just a historian. It was very much like that, like, oh, don't touch that doll. You won't want to touch that doll. You won't like what happens if you touch that doll. Thank you, Boo. Boo, can you be real for a second? We're fighting for our fucking lives right now, Boo. By the way, you run a ghost house. Your name can't be Boo. Your name can't be Boo. You can't own a restaurant and have your name be food.
You know what his name is, actually? It's weird. Crystal Billy.
You can't own a restaurant and have your name be Yummy. And that's essentially what we're talking about here.
See, I like that. That sounds like a real,
My name's Yummy.
really
What is your name?
real family style kind of homespun.
Welcome to Yummy's Place.
That's what Cracker Barrel used to be called.
Yummy's Place.
Yummy's Place. And so Jasmine's still having a lot of fun, and she's like shouting things like, guys, May is dead. Like, we don't have to worry about May. And one of the women yells, Jasmine, shut it. And Jasmine like picks up May's hat and puts it on. She is really playing the role of the skeptic here. And at that point, Nick dares her to touch the bust that is covered by a cloth that Boo says don't touch. So she does, and the chandelier falls. And then Nick says some stuff to the camera about how he thought he was taking 10 women on this group date, but May is the 11th woman.
And then he got arrested because they're like, dude, she's like 8.
That's a good point.
She's how old she was when she died.
It's a good
Ghost
point.
law.
I was really hoping he would give the group date rose to May, and all
just
the
fucking
women,
float up to this.
all the women would be like, "Oh, that's real cute, Nick." But seriously,
Seriously, he's like, no, I'm not giving anybody else.
and then
one.
the ghost comes to all future rose ceremonies.
Yeah.
It'd be nice.
I think Corinne is being unnecessarily difficult. She keeps shopping catchphrases, and I'm like, girl.
I wish the ladies had really gotten into it and been like, "I think May is here for the wrong reasons." That'd be funny.
May's like, I'm only here because I've heard that penicillin got invented. Oh boy, my yellow fever sure is hurting me in the way that yellow fever hurt the people that had it.
I wish my fever would change to a color that is more survivable.
Like scarlet. Oh no, damn it.
And so there's a lot of chairs moving and
A book falls over.
a rocking horse.
But the good
rocks.
shit here is not this, like, the supernatural phenomena. It is, like, the genuinely funny interactions between the women. Raven and Jasmine G, like, go off, and I think it was Raven, and Raven makes Jasmine G go apologize to the hat that she touched.
Yeah.
Like, this shit is fucking great. And then Vanessa and Danielle M, like, talk to May in the mirror, and they're like, I feel like we're having a really good conversation with May. I feel like we're having really nice energy right now. And meanwhile, Nick is pulling the women aside individually to, like, actually date them real quick.
Yeah, Danielle L is talking to him and says that she can see herself falling in love with Nick. And then Raven, you know, just coming off of that cool,
So cute.
cool roller skating date, says, let me tell you the moment I fell in love with you. And Nick's like, wait, what? And she's like, oh, it's like when you sang Little Mermaid. And then she's telling us, like, I think I told him,
oops.
but whatever, I felt it. So
It was nice. And then Danielle M and him had a nice conversation, but for the life of me, I couldn't tell you what about.
Yeah, I
but
don't
they
know,
just
but
smooched a whole
yeah,
bunch.
she gets the rose.
And then she gets the rose. Should we talk about the blooper thing? Because it happens sequentially during this. And we're going to get angry here in a second. And I want to talk about this because
the blooper.
This makes me angry, again, kind of in a way, because it's another fucking thing with Alexis, who is hysterical. And she says, Nick's like, are you scared? And she's like, I'd only be scared if the ghost of Nicolas Cage shows up, which is an amazing sentence to say out loud. And then he's like, oh, well, wait here. And she's like, you're not going to go get Nicolas Cage's ghost, are you? And he comes back, and Nick is wearing a Nicolas Cage mask, which I don't know how that's allowed. That's probably okay, right? That's fair use. That's parody. And he, like, chases her around for a bit and then, like, convinces her to give him a kiss, like, through the Nicolas Cage mask. And Nick's like, I got kind of turned on by that. It was really fucking, like, enjoyable. And the bloopers is a prison that Alexis has been consigned to because we didn't see fucking hide nor hair of her the entire episode.
I hope we see Alexis on Bachelor in Paradise.
We will. She's being conditioned for Bachelor in Paradise. She's fucking really funny. I want to see her in more of the stuff. I don't want to see this manufactured garbage between Korn and Taylor.
I hope Alexis and Raven are pals.
That would be fucking good.
I really want
That's
them to be
bip.
pals.
That's my bip. That's the new Jade and Carly.
Yeah.
That's what's up. That's going to get real in bip.
They're both so funny and, like, fun. Good to watch. Okay.
I hope Chad, like, gets eaten by a whale.
You said his name again.
I know. I love giving money to charity. I hope Rod gets eaten by a whale or something in early episodes of BIP, and so we can just really, like, what if just episode 1 he got eaten by a whale again? And it was just like, now we get to really...
Again?
Well, you know what I mean, metaphorically.
We also heard that Jorge, the bartender, is not going to be on BIP.
All of my fucking light.
What's
all
the
of my
point?
joy. What's the fucking point? Welcome to Bachelor in Paradise.
What if it's Ashley, I, and Jared again?
I'll fucking
forget it.
Can I say something? We
Yes.
might fucking pivot and just we could do fucking Terrace House during that period.
Or Are You the One?
Here's the thing, dude. Are You the One is buck wild, by the way. They are doing some stuff with that show. Boy, do they hate these kids. Boy, do they want these kids to not have any money at the end of this. There's so much other shit we could watch and talk about that would be fun and enjoyable. A lot of people are asking us for our thoughts on Aloha State. We have been drip feeding it so much so that we have not finished the 8 episodes available to us.
To be fair, we only started watching it 2 days ago. So
we waited for all our friends so we could get together and watch it in a group and eat Japanese candy and stuff. There's other stuff we could watch. Seriously, if they do Ashley I and Jared and fucking Rod v. Korn and it won't be fun and we should do something else.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about this Korn date. 2-on-1. Korn and Taylor. They are going to the bayou. We get to see them getting ready, and Corinne's putting on a face mask and in a bubble bath, and Taylor's smelling some oils and lighting some candles. At one point, we hear the phrase "Make America Corinne Again."
So she's just trying to she's just trying to inject her own name, because before she said "Make Corinne Great Again."
Yes. Now
and next episode it's going to be Corinne America Great Again, and then Make America Great Corinne, Make Corinne Great Corinne.
So this is
she also
where
says fucking hashtag winning.
She does.
Hey, Korn, fucking stop it.
Stay
Fucking
current.
stop it.
Stay current, Corinne. So this is where we get to see them go to the bayou. They get into a boat, and this is where we get to see that great shot of that large man jumping in the boat.
That large man, Justin Minsker, texted me and said that he was on WWE Tough Enough. He was a wrestler on there, and he was in NXT for a little bit, I guess.
All he does in this episode is jump in a boat.
He jumps in a boat.
But he does a great job.
He had more footage on the reel that didn't quite make the cut, but he literally Nick and Korn and Taylor are all sitting next to each other in the middle of the boat, and this man cannonballs into the back of the boat, scaring the shit out of all three of them, and it brought so much light to my life.
Yeah, we watched it 3 times. And they're walking through the swamp. And this is where the Bachelor takes some liberties.
Shit, guys. We like to watch the Facebook live chat because it always pops off so hard. And it was so funny because we were a little bit behind on the chat, and I could see the exact part where you could see this voodoo ceremony taking place through the bushes, and see people in the chat just go like, "Oh God, oh no." Oh no. Oh no.
So we've seen the Bachelor franchise take liberties before. Evan and Carly in Bachelor in Paradise go on this date that's supposed to be this ancient Mayan ceremony. Bachelor in Paradise likes to do local culture, but they do it in the
it wasn't. It was Ashley I, because she went on they did a virgin sacrifice at the end of it where they dragged her off, which was obviously it was a bunch of community theater
was it
actors.
Ashley I and
Jared, maybe? I don't fucking know. I can't believe we're talking about Ashley I in this episode
Jared.
of the podcast. We're going to talk about that woman so much during the length of this podcast that we should not extra talk about her.
So this is... It's them walking into a voodoo ritual of some kind.
I will own, my gut was immediately this is bad. This is bad that this is happening. I will own the fact that I do not know that much about voodoo. Aside from the fact that there's different kinds of it, and Louisiana voodoo is its own sort of thing that is kind of mashed up between different sort of different inspirations, but it originated in the West, in West Africa, and there's millions and millions of people still actually doing it over there as a religious practice. And so it kind of stinks to watch it happen on this show as we're going to use our voodoo a ritual to help you decide who to pick. Like
they make it so cartoonish. There's like a voodoo priestess, and they're burning sage.
It's not cartoon because there's a lot of like really negative depictions of voodoo being like, you know, fucking blood rituals and sacrifices using, you know, dark ancient swamp, you know, magic or whatever. That can be that are really, really bad, and like in movies especially problematic. And this wasn't that, but it was like appropriation to the fucking max. Yeah. And it was just kind of gross, and boy, it got grosser.
So the voodoo priestess says that she's going to do a tarot reading, and all three of them are sitting at the table, and she's like, "This feels really tense. I think I'm going to do you guys one at a time." So Nick and Corinne leave, and then Taylor gets the reading first, and she gets cards that indicate that there is somebody that is intuitive, which she assumes is her, and that there is somebody nasty around her, and that she shouldn't engage with that person. Which
is this now a once per season thing? The tarot reading? I'm almost certain.
It happened on Bachelor in Paradise.
Definitely happened in Bachelor in Paradise, and I would bet dollars to donuts it has happened in a few past seasons before, because it's a fucking easy...
It really is.
...thing.
It's an easy way to be like, you know, hey, we know what's going on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, it's an easy thing to get footage of. Like, it's an easy, like, thing to pad out like a date.
Yeah, it's like a little narrator thing, too, of like, we're going to summarize with the big issues with these contestants.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, her nails were fucking phenomenal.
I didn't even notice her nails, I don't think.
Gotta look at the nails. You gotta look at the kit.
So Corinne takes this time to tell Nick about her issue with Taylor, and says that Taylor has been insulting her and calling her stupid. And she takes a little bit of liberties, but mainly what she's communicating is that there's tension between them. And so then when they split off again, Corinne gets her reading, which is she gets the Queen of Swords card, which suggests that her mouth gets her in trouble a lot. Mm. And so Nick takes this time to ask Taylor, so did you actually like call her stupid? I was kind of surprised to hear that. And Taylor's like, I'm glad to hear that you were surprised. It doesn't really make sense. Meanwhile,
she says emotional intelligence a few more times.
Yeah.
She said, and this was for me, this was the main offender. Like, I was so fucking done with Taylor at this point. Where she says, I said that she just lacked emotional intelligence, and Nick, I had to explain to her what emotional intelligence was. And I was like, I'm so glad that you learned what this was before you came here and decided to use it as your fucking one arrow in the quiver against the villain that you were unfairly put up against, Taylor. But like, man, I'm so over it.
It's so hard to watch 2-on-1s. I mean, obviously because of the nature of the date, the fact that they are pitting two people against each other, but also the fact that those two people are always, like Griffin made the point, like, has anyone that has gone on a 2-on-1 ever won the show? No. I don't think so.
And this one is especially bad because of all the like voodoo stuff, and then like Korn was saying some shit, man. Like you can't be in this already kind of problematic voodoo date environment and then call your opponent, who is a woman of color, a fucking swamp monster, Korn, and then like follow it up with your great Trump parody tagline like, Korn, that's not good, dude. That's actually fucking awful.
Yeah, both women come out looking like obviously they're not Nick's interests, and so it just, I don't know. Yeah,
and Taylor, I'm at least allowing, like, I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt of like, you were put up to the, like, you were either put up to this or you signed on to be the anti-villain. The like giant slayer is a good name, I think, for that archetype.
Yeah,
and like you were put up to this, and like you just were ill-equipped to do it, and that's probably why you kept using this emotion. We make fun of her for saying this emotional intelligence thing, but like I think she found her line and was kind of trying to stick to it.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So Corinne gets the rose. No huge surprise.
Rachel made the point that, like, there's a huge several minute long thing in the season trailer of Korn seducing him and, like, having sex with him before the fantasy suites. And, like, that obviously hasn't happened yet. So fucking of course, like, there's no tension because of course.
But I will say there have been previous seasons. Like, for example, there was one season where there was a teaser that some woman gets a black eye, and we spent all season looking for that to happen, and it never happened.
I think it did happen. It was just like, what happened? And it wasn't.
No, they never explained it.
I guess not.
We had to do, like, some searching. We had some rose buddies.
But this is huge. This was an enormous part of the season trailer of her having sex with
Yeah,
Nick
but that doesn't
before.
necessarily mean we're ever going to
But
get
they
to see
wouldn't.
it.
There's no way they'd skip something like that. No fucking way. 0% chance. I'll eat my hat. Yeah, it's just like.
So
Here's the thing: you're saying all this stuff about this date, and to be fucking honest, I checked out because it was boring as hell.
yeah, it's a nasty date.
It's not just a nasty date; it's just boring. I know what's going to happen because the nature of this show is you do teasers upon teasers upon teasers upon teasers, and it's not hard to, like, figure out what the order of things are going to be. So I knew it was going to happen, but also just this thing was so poorly conceived. Can you remember the last time that there was, like, an actual fight between a villain and an anti-villain? I guess Rod going home on the 2-on-1 with Alex, I guess, but Alex also kind of sucked, and they didn't set that conflict up especially well either.
This date is almost exactly like the Alex and Rod date.
Yeah, where it's like we have the big, except the other person went home last time. The villain went home last time.
Yeah, but they set it up like these two people are fighting. We're going to put them on a date together. One of them is going to get the rose, and then the other is going to come back. And that's what happened. So Corinne gets the rose. They get on the boat. They drive away, leaving Taylor there. And then Taylor goes back to the voodoo ritual.
Oh, God, I fucking forgot.
Yeah. And they like cleanse her or something. And then there's this suggestion that she is going to find Nick and Corinne and, quote, not go home without speaking her piece. So Corinne and Nick go to dinner, and Corinne is talking about how she's so glad the negative energy is gone. And we see Taylor walking the streets at night by herself. And then she shows up at the dinner, and then we get a to be continued.
Good. That's what I wanted. More of it. Feed me more. I just don't fucking care. You can't make me care. Because here's the thing, because I turned to Rachel at one point during this episode, and I think it was during Ghost House. There's a lot of really great women. This is a good cast. Mm-hmm. And I also made the point that I feel like, and this has nothing to do with the women who are ever on the show. It has to do with, like, how they are presented in editing and the show's presentation. That it is, I think, harder for there to be, like, a really great, memorable ensemble cast of women on The Bachelor than it is for dudes on The Bachelorette. And I don't know why that is, except maybe, like, because on The Bachelor, like, they focus on the same bullshit like this every single time. But, like, there's so many, this season, there's so many fucking great, there's still a lot of women in the house. There's like 14 women left in the house, and, like, I think I could name them all. Like, I think I know them all, and that's pretty wild. And it's so frustrating that they have this great ensemble cast, probably the best one that they've had in a really, really long time, and they're doing not as much as they could with it.
Yeah, I was telling Griffin, I think a lot of them are funny, a lot of them are fun. We don't see too many bland Bettys in this group. A lot of personality.
This thing they're doing with Korn is the same thing they do. They do it every season. We're in the fucking Badlands, by the way. Episodes, I want to say 4 through 8 are the Badlands, where it's just focusing.
I like that.
It's focusing on every single season, without fail, a storyline that worked for them once, and they just try to recreate that storyline over and over and over and over and over and over again because they don't have any fucking confidence in the structure of the show or the people that they invite to be on it. And it drives me buck wild. It drives me fucking crazy. Because I'm sure there's definitely, like, a part of the audience who you love to hate her. It's Korn. And they're like, oh, Korn, did you see what she said? Like, I'm sure there's still that audience that, like, loves that shit. I can't, it's not hard to look at the fullness of this thing, to look at all of the franchise and say, like, you've just been doing the same fucking shit over and over and over. The villain, what will she say or what won't she say? Nothing. Like, okay, but this is just Courtney again. This is just Tierra. This is just Tierra all over again.
Vienna was the other one.
Vienna. It's just Vienna. This is just Rod. This is just Kaylon.
Kaylon.
This is just that guy. What won't he say? What a jag.
Yeah.
Fucking all right. I fucking get it.
Yeah.
What a bad boy. He's going to pick okay, fine.
So much so that now there's a suggestion that people are going on this show specifically to play the villain. Like there is a suggestion.
It's not a suggestion. It's absolutely
that was Corinne's attention from the beginning.
Yeah.
Was that she's like, I'm going to go on this show and be the villain.
Well, yeah, because there's rigorous casting sessions for these things, and they are picking those archetypes before they even walk in the door of the mansion. And that's fine. Like, I just thought we watched the Royal Rumble, or I watched the Royal Rumble yesterday, and I don't watch a whole lot of wrestling these days, but man, I love the shit out of it. In the Royal Rumble, they have 30 entrants that come into the ring, and they fight, and they fight, and they fight, and the last one standing wins. Number 30 is usually a big surprise, right? It's the last wrestler that comes out. This time, the last wrestler, who is it going to be? Shinsuke Nakamura? Ooh, what an exciting turn that was going to be. It's fucking Roman Reigns, this dude that, like, nobody likes. He's just this, like, dude that they tried to put up way too fast and didn't earn his stripes, and so the whole time, like, nobody respects him, and everybody's just tired of him. Everybody's fucking so tired. Diehard wrestling fans who love wrestling are so fucking tired of this dude that they keep forcing down their throats, and it's like, how do you guys how have you been doing it this long, and you have this big an audience, and you know how to make the thing, but you're so fucking bad at knowing what the people want and how to make the best version of the thing. And it is the exact same case with The Bachelor, because they have so much good stuff they can do, and they do with this franchise, but they just fucking throw it all away on the same garbage over and over again. Baby, I'm so tired.
I know. I always feel weird, though, complaining about the show because, I mean, we watch it. We always watch it.
We
do a podcast about it.
We do a podcast about it. My fucking enjoyment of the thing definitely fluctuates in a way that, like, we do a podcast about it, right? We have to take notes. We have to watch intently. I would have bailed during today's episode, not on the whole show, but on the episode. Like, I would have bailed. Like, I would have fast forwarded through the corner. We had the TiVo. We had TiVo time. We could have fast forwarded through that TiVo time, and I would have if we didn't have to take notes. Because I don't give a fuck, dude. I just don't care.
Yeah.
And I'm frustrated because the good stuff is so good, and it still has the potential to be the best, like, shit ever. And we see glimmers of it in Bachelor in Paradise and straight up Bachelorette Canada. And for a while, I thought I was just talking yay because all of those people listen to our podcast, and so I wanted to appease them. But, like, there's something to that, having that smaller cast and focusing more on, like, everybody's individual stories and getting you to know people instead of, like, the first 5 weeks. I'm sending home Jerusha. Who? This week I'm sending home 19 women, and you don't know them.
Yeah, Griffin made the comment, we keep seeing Whitney. We have no idea who Whitney is.
Who Whitney is, and, like, no knock against Whitney. If she had been there and there had only been, like, 18 women in the house, 15 women in the house, week one, at the end of week one. Here's 15 women. I can remember 15 women. You could take the time to show me footage of the 15 women talking to Nick so I can get to know them and then feel anything when they get sent home, not have 4 straight weeks of, this week I'm sending home Susan Q.
You know what
and
that
it's
reminds
like, who
me
cares?
It reminds me that the rose ceremonies, we used to see these kind of tearful goodbyes from contestants after they were eliminated. And now we never really see that anymore. Or if we do, it's very brief because we don't know anything about them.
Yes, it's not even that. There are weeks where we aren't even shown everybody that goes the fuck home. You're showing your hand, Bachelor.
Yeah.
You don't give a fuck about your own premise so much. You're not even showing the people going home.
I don't want to end the show on such an outraged note.
It's not. It's. I guess it is outrage because I'm not a TV exec, right? Like I couldn't produce this show. But at the same time, like, there's so many obvious mistakes they're making, and it's so fucking frustrating. It is so frustrating. I just want them to do better at it.
I want you to take a minute.
Here's a point of light. Here's my point of light.
Rachel is
Bachelorette. Straight up. Get up there. Rachel is Bachelorette. It would be so good.
We really want Rachel as Bachelorette. We thought she was really showed some strength this
It's
week.
fucking rad.
Yeah.
Although they probably just twist her and
Also,
make her boring.
She's in her 30s and she's an attorney. Like, cool Bachelorette.
Cool Bachelor. I mean, Andy was the same thing. And Andy was a pretty cool Bachelorette.
Andy was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to. Yeah, I'm sorry I went thermonuclear there. It's just like, we're in the Badlands, guys. Go back and listen to JoJo season and Ben's season. There are Badlands in those too.
Yeah.
Who was Ben's villain? Because it was the girl who was the anchor and she did the
Olivia.
Yeah,
that was not fair. Olivia was not there to be the villain.
Yeah,
they made her
that
play that
and
role.
In JoJo's season, it was Rod. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just
Chris's season, it was Kelsey, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Although I was into her thing about like, I love my story. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's horrible, but it was a new approach to being a villain.
Yeah.
A very real and horrifying approach.
Yeah.
We're in the worst of this season. What has been like a really great season up to this point. And it's the to be continued, baby.
Yes.
I don't continue it.
I hate the to be continued because it always feels so false.
And especially you're continuing a thing I don't fucking care about.
Exactly. Just end an episode.
This episode was the to be continued.
Just end an episode with the rose ceremony.
Stop continuing. Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you everybody for listening to Rose Buddies. Hang in there. Next episode, probably also going to be bad, but then the one after that, I think stuff's going to start turning around. Mm-hmm. Because there's a lot of really great potential I really like Nick and Raven. I love Nick and Rachel. Love Nick and Vanessa.
Nick and Alexis,
although
it's fun.
that's not going to go very far. I think like it could be like a really good back half of the season, and that's really tough to nail because you've got to have a good roster, and they have a great roster.
We get a teaser that next week there are lots of tears.
Lots of tears. I'm not exactly sure why.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the rest of the season's gonna be good. We just got to get through it. We got to be there for each other. We need to get fucking 35 minutes of sleep combined a day.
We are getting more than 35 minutes of sleep.
It's
Griffin.
true. Henry's been asleep this whole time. I'm psyched. But at the same time, I'm not psyched because shit, we should have been asleep this whole time.
I know.
I hope you appreciate our sleepy podcast. Thanks to Maximum Fun for having us. You can go to MaximumFun.org and check out all the great podcasts there. They have programs like Baby Geniuses and One Bad Mother and Stop Podcasting Yourself and Jordan Jesse Go.
Throwing Shade.
Judge John Hodgman.
Schmanners.
Beef and Dairy Network.
Sawbones.
Sawbones, Adventure Zone, Bim Bam, bunch of great
Flophouse.
podcasts.
Did we say Flophouse?
Flophouse, bunch of good boys there. And yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for sending stuff to the P.O. Box. We
didn't check it this week.
check it this week. Sorry. It's legit been pretty buck wild here in the McElroy household.
It's difficult for us to get there, but we try to get there once a week.
Yeah.
Do you want to say what our P.O. Box is, by the way?
Yeah, it's P.O. Box 66639, Austin, Texas 78766. You can send us whatever. So yeah, we appreciate the stuff you send us very much. And I think that's it.
That is it.
I had a good time watching this with you.
Me too.
It's fun. It's fun when we get like date time.
Yeah.
Together. It doesn't happen very often.
No, that's true.
Thank you all for listening. I'm Griffin McElroy.
I'm Rachel McElroy.
When you're ready.
Final rose. Stay with us on this journey of joy.
Spoiler alert.
She ends up with Soldier Boy.
Right reasons, can't give up all for pieces.
My name is Patrick.
My name is Ariel.
My name is Joe Coglin. The first time I went to MaxFunCon, I didn't know anyone. I was really nervous about that.
Everyone said not to worry about going alone, that I'd make friends right away, that I'd have an amazing time. It turns out everyone was right.
I instantly had 200 new friends.
I've made lifelong friends at MaxFunCon that I'm going to keep in touch with for the rest of my life.
If you aren't sure if you belong at MaxFunCon, you belong.
Don't be like me. Don't waste 2 years being too nervous. Just go already.
Join Ariel, Patrick, and Joe at MaxFunCon. Tickets for MaxFunCon and MaxFunCon East are on sale now at MaxFunCon.com.
MaximumFun.org.
Comedy and culture.
Artist owned.
Listener supported.